Tell me, Katie, what did you do this weekend? Let's just small talk, okay? That's what everyone came here for, is the small talk. Okay. What did you do this weekend?
Yeah. I sometimes my oldest daughter and Logan like to phrase this, they coined this phrase around me getting distracted sometimes. So this weekend I chased a few dandelions, as Logan and Kobe like to tell me that I do from time to time. So I read an entire fairy tale novel with our 6-year-old. It's a great series. If you guys have little kids, it's called Whatever After. And it's a fairy tale series of these brother and sisters that go into this magical mirror in their basement. And it's awesome. So me and Lainey sat on the couch and read an entire fairy tale. It's a chapter book, so it wasn't a short read. I meal prepped, chased some other dandelions in the kitchen,
Nice.
and then I went to church. And lastly, I printed out our profit and loss reports for all three of our companies, and I sat in front of our profit and loss reports for probably 90 minutes, and I just looked at the numbers.
Yeah.
And then I looked at them again and I analyzed them further.
It's awesome. Why? Why'd you look at those? What were you looking at?
Yeah, definitely looking for possible errors. Are there miscategorized transactions? Was there missed income? Did the numbers make sense from what I thought we did?
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I watch Katie do every month, and it's one of those boring things that it's important. It's important to comb through the profit and loss statements just to ensure everything is there, and then everything that is there is in the right place. And so after Katie looked for all the errors, I did the fun thing. I just started looking for all the fun things, all the cool things. And so there was really two things that really stood out to me. And Katie pulled reports from January 1st to April 30th, which was the end of last month. And Katie, we talked about this, but what was like the first thing that really stood out to the both of us from this profit and loss report?
Yeah. Tyler he put it in the chat. Is that right? The classic P&L thought. So this was the exact thought that I had when I looked at the revenue generation. I said,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah. And so what Katie's talking about is the Bozeman location. And it had generated $514,000 in 4 months. I was like, dang, that's pretty wild. And then we started looking at the Mesa one. And what did the Mesa one, Katie? Do you remember what it was?
I think 339.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we pulled the SAC report,
219.
219. And then I was like, I wonder what the math is on that. So I started adding all those up. And altogether, they were over $1 million.
Yeah, I had to plug it into the calculator twice because I really didn't believe the answer the first time.
Yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I was like, let's scroll all the way to the bottom. Let's say scroll. I guess we had the physical papers out this time, but let's look at the bottom. And what stood out to you at the very bottom, Katie?
Yeah, how much we profited.
Yeah. I was pretty shocked, actually. And so today, yeah, Katie are going to share with you guys. We're gonna share with you guys what the bottom line was as well. And you guys might be surprised, but I'll tell you what, no one is more surprised than myself. And this makes me think about 12 years ago. So 12 years ago, I started this entrepreneurship journey, became a business owner. But just 3 months after that, I actually met Katie. And yeah, for those first 3 years that Katie and I were together, along with starting this entrepreneurship journey, I just could not break this $5,000 a month revenue wall.
Why do you think you couldn't break that wall?
Looking back at it, it's pretty clear. At the time, I had no idea, by the way. At the time, I was like, I don't know. But looking back, it was pretty clear. I just didn't have skills. And it showed. It showed because I lacked earning power. But what eventually got me through it was actually my learning power. Again, all things that I didn't realize until looking back at it. But it was learning, Katie. It was like learning from clients who would come and then clients who would go. Learning from hiring employees, but I honestly learned the most from actually firing employees or having employees leave. And then I probably learned the most by spending money, the very little money I had, and spending money on things I thought were assets that turned out to be liabilities.
Okay, that sounds really fancy. Can you please define some liabilities and assets? What the heck does that mean?
Yeah. So, how many of you guys know who Robert Kiyosaki is? How many of you actually guys know? I've heard of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Anybody? Anybody? Chat. Yes. This is probably the most gifted book I have given to people because I think it's one of the most important. And I think the most important definitions are this right here. Asset. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. It generates income whether you're working or not. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. It costs you money to own or to maintain. And that is a great filter, recognizing what you should put your money into. Now, speaking of assets, the first people that ever got the opportunity to be able to coach and help were Jessica and Lucas. And they were able to grow their business to a place where it had enough revenue and profit to be able to have two office people run their location in Canada while they moved here to Arizona to help us grow our cleaning businesses. And they came over for dinner this weekend. And before dinner, we actually were sitting outside on our back patio by the pool, watching their kids playing the pool. Pretty fun. But Luke and I were actually chatting about assets and liabilities. And I told him this, and I want to share with you guys as well. I was like, I'm willing to go broke trying to acquire assets. And the things that I see as assets in this very moment are skills, businesses, and A players like Jessica and Lucas. And looking back at it, the only things I've ever regretted spending money on are things that look like assets, but are really liabilities. Do you mind if I share a couple of those things that me personally, that I bought, spent money on?
Share with us your closet of liabilities, please.
My closet. Yeah. And you guys go to Decade Today, know this one, my college degree, primary home, second homes, cars, 401ks, RAs, RVs, and businesses where I was the only employee. I was made to believe those were assets. It was a belief that I had to change, kind of like what Kayla Irby had to change in order for her business to actually grow. And a huge belief that I had to break was seeing expenses as assets. And right now I have a $3,500 a month expense that
I just paid it yesterday.
12 years ago, I would not have seen this liability, or excuse me, as an asset. I think most people would see it as liability, but today it is the greatest asset. And Katie, that expense that I was referencing, what is it?
It's coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a coach right now. We actually get 2 coaching sessions a month, which means we're paying $1,750 an hour. Yeah. Sell one to your wife, guys. And luckily, my wife is sold, and that's why she's the one who actually paid the invoice. But that expense is probably that type of expense. Coaching has been the thing that has been the greatest asset to me today. And I started thinking about the first time I ever made a big coaching investment. It was Gym Launch, and it was 9 years ago. It was April, so I guess it's May now, but it was April of 2017. And I literally gave every single dollar I had, which at that point was $10,000 for this coaching program. And I'm like genuinely curious. I've never actually asked you this, Katie. And as I was preparing this call today, I was like, what was your thoughts on this? I actually never asked you. And so I'm actually genuinely curious as you watch me commit this money to this stranger. What's going on in your
Yeah.
head?
Great question. So my perspective, I also, for those of you that have been out to Decade in a Day, this $10,000 that was hidden somewhere in Logan's world, maybe like a Crown Royal bag under his pillow or something. I don't know. I didn't even know it existed. He did not tell me about this stack of cash that he had. So when he told me the cost of this program, we were dating at this point, but we didn't share finances. I honestly had no idea how he was going to make it work because I sure didn't have $10,000. So I was like, in order to make it work, it should work. I'm very skeptical, but then he showed me this guy's squat video and I was like also impressed, I think. I was like, at least you can't lie about that, right? So that's not an AI created video. So then my thought process was, holy shit, he's serious. That's a lot of freaking money. That means that despite the outcome, it's time to go all in. It is time to fully commit with actions. So my frame at that time became, I didn't work with Logan at the time. Like, how can I make every ounce of Logan's attention go towards this commitment that he just made to grow? It was scary, but I just knew that it was go time. And my job was to hold you accountable, Logan, when you'd come home at the end of the day and have had faced rejection all day and this thing wasn't working. And I'm like, okay, how can I help you? Can I pretend to be the prospect? Let's role play. Got our daughter into role playing as well. He would say it in the shower. I would hear him talking to himself in the shower, and just his actions I knew had to change. So it was my job to hold him accountable to making sure those actions did in fact change.
It's awesome. Actually, I forgot about a lot of that, but I think that's why when people do join our coaching program, I'm like so invested in the spouse because I really do think the spouse is the actual one of the most important people to have on board because it's those type of things. It's the, hey, you just invest all this money. What are you freaking doing? Or come on, let's go. We got to make this work. Let me help you. Let me help you.
And don't get me wrong, I had both of those thoughts go through my head, but the choice had already been made. So what the hell are you doing? I knew wasn't going to help at all at that point.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I'll share one little thing that just popped in my head too. So about 2 weeks after I invested this $10,000 in a gym launch, I had this family reunion trip planned in Las Vegas. And it was for my grandparents' 50-year anniversary. And my grandparents, my whole family lives in Montana, but my grandparents snowbird in the wintertime and they go really down south. And at this point, they were going to be in Las Vegas. And my family wanted to surprise my grandparents by doing a 50-year anniversary party for them. And so the story was that I was going to fly into Las Vegas and I was going to do a powerlifting meet. I was powerlifting at the time. And I was doing a powerlifting meet and they were going to come watch me. That was the story to get them there. Of course, this was 2 weeks in a gym launch and I'm like, I can't go. I have to sell. And I remember Katie having this conversation with me and she's, I'll go. I'll go and I'll be you for the weekend. And so what ended up happening was that I actually flew down for one night and then Katie stayed the rest of the weekend with my entire family. And she took over my role in that case so I could go back and continue to sell. And that was like one of those ways to show support without saying I support you. She had to say it. Her actions showed that she was all in with me. And yeah, guys, that was 2017. And literally for the last 9 years, Kate and I have always had a coach or two or sometimes three over the last 9 years. And on Friday, we actually had our coaching session. And today, we're actually going to share some lessons that we learned from that coaching session with you guys today. That's cool with that? And one of the biggest lessons that we learned that we talked about was what, Katie? What was our main topic?
Numbers. So we talked a lot about the profit and loss statement. We talked about what those numbers tell you, what numbers to pay attention to, and ultimately what it takes, what those numbers need to say in order to build an asset.
Yeah. We're going to break down what a profit and loss statement, what it is, what it looks like, and we're going to share some lessons from this expensive coaching session. Katie, let's talk about the first lesson we learned, the framework for a profit and loss statement. But before we get into the framework of it, what is a profit and loss statement? If you hear somebody say profit and loss, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. A profit and loss statement is a financial report that shows how much money a business made and also how much money a business spent over a specific period of time.
Cool. And so let's talk about what is on that report. And so the very first line on there is revenue. And so, Katie, what is revenue?
Revenue is all money received by your business from customers in exchange for your product or service. So this is also known as the top line or top line revenue.
That's
So
because it's at the top. It's the top. It's the top of
the
the
top line.
top line. That's why. Yeah.
So it's every single dollar that our clients, for us in the cleaning world, every single dollar that our clients pay our cleaning businesses.
Yeah. So like when Katie and I said that our businesses made $1 million in the last 4 months, that would be $1 million of revenue, which is the top line. Okay. So the next section of a profit and loss statement that we're going to talk about today is called the cost of goods sold. Okay. So Katie, what is the cost of goods sold?
The cost of goods sold is sometimes paraphrased as COGS, COGS. So the cost of goods sold, or COGS, are the direct costs required to actually deliver or fulfill your product or service. So this includes, for us in the cleaning world, this includes cleaners' wages and cleaning supplies.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you guys have ever heard that term, COGS, that's what it is. Okay. Okay, so we have revenue, we have cost of goods sold, the acronym is COGS, and then we have gross profit. So Katie, what is gross profit?
Gross profit is the money that remains after we subtract the COGS from the revenue. So as an example, excuse me, in the cleaning world, if we charged a client $200 for a clean, the top line or revenue would be $200. And the client paid the client paid $200, but we paid out $100 in wages and supplies to fulfill that clean. Our gross profit would be $100. So revenue would be $200. Cost of goods sold would be $100. And then our gross profit would also be $100.
Awesome, guys. Okay, and then the next thing that we're going to talk about are expenses. Katie, what are expenses?
Yeah. Good question. Expenses are the ongoing costs to run a business that aren't tied directly to fulfilling your service. Some of these ongoing costs include marketing. So the money that is actually spent to attract new customers and cleaners. So for us, Facebook, Indeed, Google LSA. Office wages. So pay for your office staff. This includes personal assistants or virtual assistants, personal assistants, managers, office assistants, and then also overhead. So these are operational costs, rent, software, insurance, laundry.
Awesome. Okay, so if we're looking at the framework of a profit and loss, we have our revenue, we have our COGS, our gross profit, and expenses. And then the last thing we have on here is profit. Katie, what is profit?
Love this one. This is all the money that's left over after all of the expenses are paid. This is also known as the bottom line because this is the very last line item on your profit and loss. Now, this bottom line and profit needs to actually include owner's pay if you are on payroll. So what Logan and I actually take home after paying cleaners, buying supplies, running ads, and covering all of the bills, including our own payroll.
Yeah. So you said, so listen about payroll. So This is where some people can get confused, and I was confused by this the first time that we got set up on payroll. And so, like, why would somebody be on payroll versus not be on payroll? It's a side topic to the P&L comment, but I figured this is probably a question that I had, so I figured other people might have it as well.
Yeah. The primary reason you would put yourself on payroll is if your business is set up as an S corp. And I actually, why? I don't know why you'd set up your business as an S corp.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to make it what's somewhat of a complex topic, try to make it as simple as possible. The reason why you would set up your cleaning business as an S corp is because it would save you money by avoiding payroll taxes. So if you guys have employees, you guys will notice that when we pay employees, we match their Social Security and Medicare along with the state and the federal taxes, right? But when you're self-employed, you get taxed as the employee, and your business must match your personal Medicare and Social Security as well, which means you get double taxed. Okay. So the reason why you set up an S corp is because it allows you to split the money that you make from employee wages into business distributions, which are not subject to you having to pay matching Social Security and Medicare taxes. Okay. Now, here's the catch to this. So some of you are saying, why am I not set up as an S corp? There's a catch. You'll spend between $2,000 and $5,000 a year on payroll, right? Like just like the service of payroll, accounting to get it set up and to file it, and then in the filing fees. And so, generally speaking, this is where you guys go talk to your CPA. But generally, until you're making about $50,000 in profit, at that point, then it may be a good option to look into an S corp. But if you're below that, you're okay. Your first goal is just to get to $50,000 in profit.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Cool. Yeah. A little bit of a side topic, but I think it's always a question I had for a very long time that I didn't understand for a very long time. So I just thought it would be helpful for anybody else.
It's good.
Okay. So back to the original framework of the P&L. So now we have defined our revenue, we've defined our cost of goods sold, we've defined our expenses and profit. Let's actually start to break those down into percentages. Like how much of each should we be spending in each category? And so I was thinking about it in an analogy, how to make this as simple as possible. And Kitty, what was an interesting thing that you made this week that was out of the blue? I actually had never seen you make this before.
Yeah, it was the first time, but I wanted to have some pizza. So
Pizza. How many of you guys like pizza? Any of you guys like pizza?
I was like, yeah, give me some pizza.
I'm not actually a pizza guy myself, but this was my kind of pizza. Why was this my kind of pizza?
It was a macro-friendly pizza. So
what does that mean? What does that mean, macro-friendly?
There are 3 macronutrients in all the food that we eat. And in order for it to be macro-friendly in Logan's eyes, there's such things as protenders in the world. These are like protein fakers. They're trying to pretend to be good sources of protein. But I made sure that this pizza had a huge ratio of protein. So much so that the entire crust was made from ground chicken.
Yeah.
And then it was topped with just a little bit of tomato sauce and fat-free mozzarella cheese, which is also not a protender, but it is a primary source of protein. If you check the protein consumption on fat-free mozzarella cheese, and it tasted like pizza. It was awesome. It was
actually pretty good. Kids even ate it, and they thought it was bomb as well. That's how you really know the kids like it too.
I asked the teenager, I said, do you want to know what's in this? And she goes, not yet. So she's like finishing eating it. And then she's, okay, now you can tell me what it was.
Yeah, I don't want you to ruin this for me because it is really good. But anyway, so I want you guys to think of pizza like 100% of your revenue. Okay. And Every category we talk about today is like a slice of pizza. And so we have COGS, cost of goods sold, marketing, office wages, and overhead. Those are our slices of pizza. Okay. And depending on how big those slices are, it's going to determine what's left over. And what's left over is what you get to eat, which is your profit. Okay. So let's talk about our cost of goods sold. So this is going to be our biggest category. And so we're going to break this down into 3 micro categories: excellent, good, and poor. And Kitty, for our cost of goods sold, what is excellent for our cost of goods sold for a percentage of the pizza that we're going to slice up for our cleaners' wages, and supplies?
Yeah, for our cleaning business, it's going to be 50 to 55% would be excellent.
Yeah. So guys, that's literally half of all the money that comes in is going to go to your wages and supplies. Okay. Now, what is good? What's a good percentage?
Good would be 56 to 60%.
Yeah. And then what is poor?
Or would be anything over 60%. So 61 and beyond.
Yeah. So again, if we try to understand, guys, that we only have so much pizza, like what happens, Katie, if you don't eat?
I go hungry if I don't eat.
And if you go hungry for long enough, what ends up happening?
You die.
You die. Guys, if you do not eat, eventually you will die. So will your business. Okay. Profit is like fuel. Okay. That's why this is so important to understand this. Okay. Okay. So we have cost of goods sold. We have our slice now for that. And now let's talk about our marketing slice. What is excellent for marketing?
Marketing excellency would be like 2 to 4%.
2 to 4%. Okay. So guys, remember when we're saying 2 to 4%, this is 2 to 4% of what?
The whole pizza or all of the revenue of the company.
Exactly. As an example, let's say for easy math that the business did $1,000 of revenue for the month. $1,000. What would 4% be of $1,000?
40.
$40. Exactly. Okay. Now, if it was $10,000, how much would it be?
400.
Cool. If it was 100,000, how much could your marketing budget be at 4%?
$4,000.
Yeah. Cool. So I just want you guys to understand that's what we're looking with here. Okay. So that's what excellent is. What is good?
5 to 9% would be good for marketing.
And then what about poor?
Over 10%.
Okay. So now we have our marketing slice of our pizza allocated. Let's see if there's anything left over for office wages. So now we're talking about the slice for office wages. Now this doesn't include owner's pay. While on your P&L, it will show up. It might show up in that category. However, for these numbers, we're excluding owner's pay because we just want our office staff. And Katie, what is excellent percentages for office wages?
Excellent would be 7 to 9%.
Okay. And then good?
10 to 14%.
And then what is poor?
Over 15%.
Cool. And then lastly, we have overhead. Okay. And remind us, Kitty, what overhead is. And there's more to overhead than just the things that she's going to share about. What are some common things that are considered overhead?
Yeah, think operational costs. So if you have an office space, if you have software that you pay for, liability insurance, if you do laundry for your staff, anything operationally that is not directly related to fulfilling the service, but you still have to be in business.
And so for overhead, what is excellent?
Excellent for overhead is going to be below 4%.
Cool. Good.
5 to 7%.
And then what is poor?
Anything over 8%.
Yeah. And then our final category that we want percentages is net profit. And this net profit is
Mm.
going to include owner's pay. And so what is excellent, Katie?
For me to feel satiated at the end of the day, I would like to see 20% of that pizza.
Yeah. Girls got to eat. Girls got to eat. What is good?
15 to 19%,
And then poor.
below 14%.
Yeah.
So I have a question
Okay.
because I just did the math on this. And if somebody was excellent in every single category, that means that they would have a 37, if I did my math correctly, net profit. That
Yeah.
would be an excellent net profit percentage.
It's a great question. It appears to seem amazing, but I'll tell you this. If I see somebody who's got a 37% net profit, I would not trade business with them,
Why not?
because the only way you can get to 37% margin is if you're cleaning, you have no office staff, you have no physical office, softwares, systems, subscriptions, and you're relying on word of mouth for marketing.
You don't
Yeah.
want to buy a job? Come
Yeah.
on, that's the whole pizza though.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why it's important for us to understand, guys, that we're building an asset, not a job. Okay. And so if you are a solo cleaner, and some of you guys might be a solo cleaner, and so I think a lot of people start out as solo cleaners, which is great. If you're making $10,000 a month and you're doing a 37% margin, which means that you're profiting, what is that? Just round for 40%. So you're profiting $4,000, all right? So you're profiting $4,000. That's a decent wage, right? You're working hard. But I think you guys are on this call because you guys want to build million-dollar businesses. You want to build an asset. And if your business is doing $100,000 a month, you won't be doing that alone. And if you can do that on a 20% margin,
That'd be $20,000.
yeah. And so you don't get there by working hard. You get there because you have a hardworking team. And that's why changing your beliefs and upgrading your beliefs is so important if you actually want to build a million-dollar business. And so now that we have our categories lined out, and for all you guys who are like maybe getting a little fuzzy, these numbers are going to be put into the replay for this call. So you actually can go listen to this call again, take the numbers and actually look at your profit and loss statements and compare them. That way you can see where you're at. Okay. And once you do see where you're at, you're going to see that you're going to have some poor categories. Okay. And so let's talk about the next lesson that we learned from this coaching call on Friday was actually how do we fix these poor categories, Katie? So we're going to start with the first category of COGS. How do we fix COGS? I should say this. What are like the most common mistakes that are made with COGS?
Yeah, the reason usually that COGS are too high and they're in the poor range is generally rooted in the business owner not charging the client enough. So they try to charge the client as little as possible.
Yeah. Where does that come from, do you think?
I think when you start as a cleaner, you're a solo cleaner, it's very competitive to charge less than the big companies and charge more than what you were making as a cleaner for a different company. So,
Or just in
you,
your last job?
or in your last job, yeah, you undercut the big companies.
Yeah. Yeah. And so again, this is why a lot of solo cleaners get stuck here, is because it takes a change. It takes a transition. You can't just say, okay, now I'm ready to be a business. Because if you want to transition from being a solo cleaner to a business, you got to have enough pizza left over for cleaners to eat. It's not just you eating anymore. Okay. Now, if we can solve this problem, we can charge the clients more. What's the second mistake that leads to poor performance in our cost of goods sold category?
Yeah. If we're charging the client enough, usually then it is we are paying our cleaners too much.
Yeah. Here's how I see this, guys, is one of the biggest mistakes that we make in business is we pay expert wages for entry-level talent. And I think one of the reasons that I'm so convicted in star pay is because it rewards high performers by paying them more money And if you're not a high performer, then you'll get paid mediocre. You get paid mediocrely because
Your skill level is mediocre.
your skill level is mediocre. And so for you guys who don't know what star pay is, Katie, will you share with people just just a little snippet of what star pay is?
Yeah, star pay is revenue-based pay. So the cleaners are paid not an hourly rate, but rather a flat rate for every job that they go to, and it's based on the revenue that we charge the client. So it's important that we charge the client an appropriate amount so our cleaners can get paid an appropriate amount.
Yeah.
And then, like Logan said, the star pay actually rewards our cleaners for what we want to see more of, which is showing up and delivering a 5-star experience.
Yeah. So the percentage that they make, it increases as they show their reliability and their ability to deliver a 5-star experience. And like when the more that we charge the client and the better and the more reliable and the more the cleaners deliver a 5-star experience, the more they get paid and the more the business earns. And there's enough pie for both the business and the cleaner. Right. And the reason that I am so convicted in this is because I reviewed payroll last week, and one of our cleaners in Mesa had a $1,300 paycheck. And
for a week's worth of work, 1 week.
Yeah, and she's by far our most skilled cleaner. And I was like, that girl has earned it. She gets paid the most, and she is the most consistent. And I was like, it's working. And I love seeing our team earn fat paychecks, and I love seeing it because they earned it. And so, guys, like when the businesses charge more and the cleaners make more, the COGS stay excellent. Okay. And actually share exactly how to implement the system inside the free home cleaning courses group. These should be linked down below. You guys can go check out the StarPay training, absolutely free. Okay. So let's move on to our next category. Let's talk about common mistakes for marketing. So what is the first reason why someone's marketing percentages might be poor, Katie?
Yeah. First reason is the pizza ain't big enough to start with. So there's not enough revenue. There's not enough bites to share, slices to share.
Yeah. It was like I shared earlier with using the $1,000 a month business, the $10,000 a month business, and the $100,000 a month business. Your marketing went from $40 to $400 to $4,000. And so just the bigger you get, the more pizza you have. And that's why it's so important to get bigger, guys. So that's why 83K a month, that's why it's the goal. There's not pizza to feed your friends. Okay. Now, what's the next reason why someone's marketing percentages might be poor?
Yeah. They might be paying a marketing agency.
Yeah. Some of you guys have experienced this before. And if you hire a marketing agency, you're going to pay on average $1,500 a month as a base just to have them run your marketing for you. And if you're doing $20,000 a month, that alone is 7.5% of your revenue just going to the marketing agency. Guys, that doesn't even include your advertising spend. If you're spending, let's say you're spending $1,000 a week on marketing, which is what most of the people inside our mentorship do, that means you're going to spend 21% on advertising and 7.5% on the marketing agency, which means you're close to 30% of your total revenue, total percent of your pizza is getting eaten by marketing.
That's really poor.
And remember, what's excellent? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember what excellent is. 2 to 4?
2 to 4%, right? So 6 times more. That's why it's tough. That's why it's almost impossible. The numbers don't make sense to hire a marketing agency. And that's why every single person that I work with, I share with you guys, I'm like, I don't recommend it because, especially in this business, because even if the marketing works, best case scenario, the marketing works, you become client constrained, which means now you got to move to focusing on cleaners. Sure, you can pause your advertising spend, but you can't pause your monthly payment to the agency, which means that $1,500 a month just sits there no matter what. Or if you actually want to fire the marketing agency, eventually you'll come back around and you'll need clients again, you don't know how to get clients because you still need the marketing agency. Yeah, that's why it's tough. Now, if someone's marketing is below 2%, is that good, Katie?
I don't know. Is it good, Logan?
No. See, I can always tell when a business has very low probability that it will grow. And it's because the marketing is based on someone's physical efforts. These people are going to B&I groups. These are like small business groups to get leads. They're going to conventions. They're going to farmers markets. They're doing business cards, doing flyers, maybe even using things like Nextdoor, Angie's List, these type of websites that require them to be on them all day long. And guys, if you want to build another business that operates without you working on it, you got to learn the skill of marketing. Learning how to invest money and then get a return on money, powerful skill. Okay, marketing. Marketing mistakes. Let's talk about next office wages mistakes. Why would someone's office wages be above 15%?
Yeah, not enough revenue again. So hiring office staff too soon.
Yeah. What is the most common reason do you see people hire office staff too soon?
Because they don't want to do the work. It's scary. It's hard. It's a skill that I don't have. I think somebody else could do it better than me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is always the story that we sell ourselves on is that our job as business owners is to delegate. Yeah, Logan, you told me to delegate. You said you need an asset that works without you. Yes. And that's why this is a game of sequence. You must learn the skill first. You must love what you're doing and then sell someone else on to do it because if you hate it and you just try to give it to somebody, they're just going to absorb your hate. They're going to absorb your ignorance. And yes, this is the biggest reason. And again, if you pay somebody to sell for you, hire for you, lead your team for you, and let's just say you conservatively you pay them $20 an hour for 40 hours of work, and you're still doing $20,000 a month in revenue, you're nearly 20% of your revenue on one person. And you're still probably cleaning them at that point, or you're still probably doing invoicing and things like that somebody else should be doing. So instead of hiring a office staff and an in-person office staff, okay, what do you recommend people do first?
Hire a virtual assistant first.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because you can delegate everything that is mandatory to happen in your business, but really takes very low skill to accomplish.
Yeah. Hey guys, do you guys want to learn how to hire a full-time virtual assistant for $100 a week and know exactly what duties to give them? There's literally a VA training inside the free home cleaning courses group as well for free. It's definitely a huge asset that you can have on your team is virtual assistant. And James, who just dropped the link in there, has been on our team for over 2 years. And James is an asset. James is an asset. Awesome, guys. Okay, we just shared all the important lessons from last Friday's coaching session. Yeah. Any other things that you want to touch on before we actually share with everyone the scary but humbling examples of what we took home, actually, our profit?
I'm just ready for the pizza again. Let's see how much I get to eat.
We'll see. We'll see. Okay. All right, guys. So as I were to share these numbers with you, I'm very humbled because 5 years ago, Kate and I started our Bozeman location, our first location, started with zero. Started with zero clients, zero experience. And in that very first year, guys, that business, it did $174,000 in revenue. You guys remember that?
Which is the whole pizza, the top line.
The whole pizza.
We had $174,000 to share with everybody.
Yeah. And we got to keep 47,000 of it. Okay. Now, from January to April of this year, the Bozeman location, Katie, can you read those numbers?
36.9 thousand in owner's pay and 70,000 in profit.
Yeah. So in 4 months, that business took home $107,000, which includes owner's pay. Guys, that's a 21% profit margin. And then let's talk about the Mesa location. How much did it take home?
36,000 in owner's pay, 25,000 in profit.
Yeah. So it's a total of 62,000, or a little over. That's a 19% profit margin. And so if you add up 70, excuse me, add up 107 to 62, or 71 to 60, almost 63, you get $170,000 in 4 months. Guys, that is as much revenue. We got to eat as much revenue as we made in the very first full year of the business.
It's almost like we ate the whole pizza
We got to eat the whole pizza from the first year.
from 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was just like, wow, what if we were able to continue to do this for the rest of the year? So if that's 4 months and there's 12 months in a year, that's 3 more times. What's 170 times 3?
510, 510,000.
Wow. Could you imagine taking home $500,000 of take home pay? Guys, that might seem crazy. Seems crazy to me, even. But imagine even just taking home half of that. What if you just took home 250,000? Or what if you only just took home half of that? 125K. Heck. What if you just took home 75K? You guys, you know what is really cool is that the people inside the home cleaning mentorship are actually also making big profits. It's not just Katie and I. Because guys, the formula to build $1 million business with a 20% profit is simple. Not easy, but simple. First off, you got to have $1 million system. Then you got to get guidance on actually how to use and increase your skill set using the system. But the most important piece, Katie, what's the most important piece?
Commit.
You got to commit. You got to commit to the $1 million. You got to commit to the 83K, guys. That's the key. You got to commit. Just like when Katie saw I was committed, she became committed. Because if you're not committed in your business, the people around you won't get committed. And you cannot build $1 million business on your own. And people don't follow people who are not committed. And so, guys, you have an opportunity to use this formula, but you got to show your commitment. And we're going to give you an opportunity to show your commitment by joining our 30-day install challenge. Okay. That 30-day install challenge, it will help you install this $1 million system into your business. Marketing, sales, hiring, leadership, data, all this is required to actually get to a milli. And inside the challenge, you'll get hands-on support from people who are actually currently using the system. Guys, the system is working today, not 30 years ago, today, right now. In fact, we just had another business hit 83K last month. Aaron and Alexander, that came into the mentorship when they were doing $25,000 a month, literally 1 year ago. And a year later,
Wow.
wild. Yeah. And Katie coached him, right? You got to be the one who got to watch him. It was awesome.
Aaron was on here earlier.
Yeah. So good. So good. Guys, I'm like, there's so many people who are on this call right now in the mentorship who started under $1 million, under 83K, and now we're over 83K. Okay. And I'll tell you guys that I also know what it feels like not to have $1 million business. In fact, our Sacramento location is not there.
Tyler asked, he said, what about SAC?
Yeah, exactly. Here we go, SAC. And so this is why it was also shocking to see the profits, because while those ones were good, the first 3 months of SAC, we lost $13,000, guys. Yeah, that one felt it a little bit. Felt a little bit. But you can tell when someone is convicted and someone's committed by their actions once they face resistance. And we saw this 13K and it was just said, we got to do more. We got to do more. And last month in April, this business of SAC hit a PR, $65,000 in revenue. And most importantly, turned us small profit. And as we continue to grow the revenue, then the profits will also go from negative to positive. And so if you guys want to join us on this journey to get to 83K, there's a link below. You can join the 30-day install challenge. We had 2 spots open. I actually think Katie signed up somebody this morning. And so I think there's only 1 spot left now. Is that right, Katie? Did you sign up somebody this morning? I think you told me.
I did. Yes.
Yeah. So there's 1 spot left. Yeah. So if you guys want to commit, eliminate all other options, but getting to 83K, there's nothing more valuable than you getting to that goal, because by you getting to that goal, it is an asset. What you will have learned to get there will serve you for the rest of your life. It's not the money you make at 83K. It's the skills that you have acquired to get there, because it doesn't happen on accident. If you guys are not there, this is an opportunity for you to upgrade your beliefs. It will not happen on accident. You will know if you're on the path. And if you don't know you're on the path, if you don't think you're on the path, you're not. And I highly recommend that you talk to people who have gotten there, and they will tell you it's not going to happen on accident. It happens on purpose. And so if you guys want to commit to that goal, look forward to seeing you on the inside. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for letting us share this journey with you guys. And thank you guys for doing the thing. Watching you guys grow, people inside the community, it is so rewarding. It is so fulfilling. And it's also very helpful. I learned so much from you guys. And the reason our businesses are able to continue to grow is because of you guys growing. And I just hope that our growth can also be reciprocal to your growth as well. Appreciate you guys so much. Katie, thank you so much for being my biggest support. And yeah, I needed that reminder today about like how important it is to have a support system that is in my life every single day, how important that is. And thank you so much. And man, it's all the little things I didn't realize at the time, looking back on, like, I think I give you enough credit, but I don't even give you enough credit. There's so many things, so many things. And yeah, so if you guys don't have a support system in your life, go create it. Go create it. Happy Monday, guys. Thank you guys for being on here today. Go create a big pizza so that you can share.
It's way more fun to eat with friends.
It's way more fun to eat with friends. Happy Monday, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.